It all started with a single glance and a single, devastating assumption. On that bright Saturday morning, the quiet, upscale neighborhood of Maplewood Hills woke to the rumble of a moving truck on Sycamore Lane. Neighbors peeked through blinds, curious but cautious, their picture-perfect world about to change in ways they could never imagine. From behind her pristine white curtains, Linda Patterson, a 52-year-old widow and longtime resident, clutched her cup of tea tightly, her eyes locked on the house across the street, the long-vacant Grayson house. A black family had arrived. The man, tall, confident, mid-40s, lifted boxes with quiet strength. His wife smiled warmly as she guided their two small children, who carried stuffed animals and toys into their new home. But Linda's lips tightened. "This can't be good," she muttered. For 20 years, Maplewood Hills had been predictable, safe, and, truth be told, almost entirely white. Now, her pulse quickened with unease. The man kept glancing over his shoulder as if watching for danger, and to Linda, that was enough to send her instincts spiraling. Minutes later, she was on the phone with 911. There's a group of people unloading things into the house across from mine," she whispered. "They don't look like they belong here. I think they might be breaking in." Within minutes, 2 patrol cars glided silently into the street, red and blue lights reflecting off manicured lawns. Neighbors froze behind their curtains, whispering to one another. Across the street, the man paused mid-step, his hands rising slowly into the air. His wife pulled their children close, shielding their faces as the officers approached. "Sir," one officer said firmly, "we got a report of a possible break-in. Can you show us some ID?" The man's jaw tightened. Slowly, deliberately, he reached for his wallet. From her window, Linda held her breath. This was going to escalate. She could feel it, but then it didn't. The officer's eyes widened at the ID. His demeanor shifted instantly, posture straightening in a way that wasn't authority but respect. I think there's been a misunderstanding," the officer said carefully, his voice almost apologetic. The man offered a thin smile, though his gaze was sharp with restrained anger. "Yeah," he said softly. "A big one." The officer shook his hand, before leaving, their heads dipped slightly, almost deferential. And then, as if sensing her gaze, the man looked up, locking eyes with Linda through her window. It wasn't anger. It wasn't even accusation. It was something far more unsettling. For the rest of the day, the weight of that stare haunted Linda. She paced, distracted, replaying the moment again and again. The handshake, the quiet tension, the officers leaving with their heads bowed. By nightfall, the neighborhood was quiet again, but not peaceful. And then came the knock. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. Her breath caught. With trembling hands, she opened the door just a crack. Standing there, bathed in the amber glow of the porch light, was the man from across the street. His presence was commanding, not threatening, but undeniable. "Mrs. Patterson," he said, his deep voice steady. Linda's throat went dry. "How do you know my name?" He tilted his head, the faintest trace of a smile ghosting his lips. "I make it my business to know the people in my neighborhood." A chill rippled through her. I didn't mean to," she stammered. "I thought you were breaking in." "You thought we didn't belong," he said, his gaze unreadable but not cruel. "I just wanted to keep everything safe," she whispered. A quiet pause, then his expression softened, almost kind. "You don't know me," he said, "but you will. And when you do, you'll understand why the officers left the way they did." Before she could speak, he nodded politely and turned, disappearing into the quiet night. Sleep never came that night. By midnight, Linda sat in her kitchen with a glass of wine, her laptop open. One search, then another. The house had been purchased outright 2 weeks ago by a man named Dr. Malcolm Hayes. The name sparked a flicker of recognition. She clicked deeper, and her breath hitched. Dr. Malcolm Hayes, philanthropist, retired military strategist, former federal consultant, classified work with national security agencies, public appearances rare, net worth undisclosed. Every article carried the same tone. This was a man respected and feared. And now, he lived across the street. The tension built over the following days. Neighbors whispered in hushed tones. Maplewood Hills felt less like a serene suburb and more like a pressure cooker ready to explode. Then, one ordinary evening, chaos arrived. Screeching tires, a black SUV, 3 masked men leaping out, weapons drawn. The neighborhood erupted. Screams, doors slamming, children pulled inside. And then, the front door of the Hayes home swung open. Dr. Hayes stepped outside. Calm, controlled, dangerous. Inside, he said firmly to his wife and children. They obeyed instantly. The men shouted. One raised his weapon. And then, in a blur, Hayes moved. Neighbors gasped as he disarmed the first man, the gun skidding across the driveway. The second man lunged, only to be slammed to the ground with chilling precision. The third fled into the woods, his panicked screams fading into the night. By the time the police arrived, 2 of the attackers were cuffed and restrained, courtesy of Hayes himself. The officers didn't question him. They deferred to him, their voices low, respectful, almost reverent. The next morning, Linda crossed the street. Her legs trembled, her palms damp with nerves. "Dr. Hayes," she said softly. He turned, eyes calm but guarded. "Mrs. Patterson, I need to know," she whispered. "Who are you? Why are you here?" For a long moment, silence stretched. Then, with quiet weight, he spoke. "I was part of a team," he said. "A covert division. We took down trafficking rings, gangs, people who hurt the innocent. It cost me everything. Friends, family, peace. I moved here for my family. I thought we'd finally be safe. But the past doesn't let go so easily." Linda's throat tightened. I judged you," she admitted, voice breaking. "I thought I was protecting this place, but all I did was show my ignorance." He stepped closer, his tone softening. "Fear makes us do things we regret," he said. "But what you do after, that's what matters." The days that followed brought change. Neighbors knocked on the Hayes door, not with suspicion, but with casseroles and quiet apologies. Hayes welcomed them all, his patience steady, his grace humbling. By the weekend, the backyard buzzed with laughter and chatter as children played and adults mingled. Over barbecue, Dr. Hayes shared not his past battles, but stories of resilience, unity, and the importance of standing together. Linda, once blinded by her fear, stood beside his wife, smiling as their kids raced across the grass. Weeks later, at the neighborhood association meeting, Linda took the floor. "I let fear decide who belonged," she said, her voice shaking but strong. "I judged a family without knowing them, and I was wrong. From this day forward, Maplewood Hills will be a place where we know each other, where we protect each other. Not because of what we look like, but because we are neighbors, because we are family." Applause filled the room. Hayes nodded, a quiet smile on his face. By the end of summer, Sycamore Lane wasn't just a street lined with manicured lawns anymore. It was a community. And Linda, she never forgot the lesson she had learned, that true safety, true belonging, comes not from walls of fear, but from bridges of understanding.